back to Recreative Cooking, guys. My name is Joe. Today we're going to be making croissants, and that might sound like a daunting task to some of you, but I'm going to charge in head on. So I have 500 grams of bread flour, about 14 grams of granulated yeast, the instant yeast that you can get at the stores, about the same amount of salt, and about 50 grams of sugar or so. You're going to need a little bit different type of butter than you would usually use. You're not going to use any kind of spreadable anything with any sort of oil in it. That's not going to work, right? What you need is some kind of fresh European style butter. If it's cultured butter, that's good. The one that I got is called President butter. It's first quality, made with fresh cream. Apparently France's #1 butter. So that's what I'm going to use today. I have 100 grams of that on one side here and 250 grams on the other side. Basically what you're going to be doing is using 100 grams of that to put into the flour for the dough, and the 250 grams of that you're going to be using for your block of butter. 250 grams of water there, and sprinkle my yeast into it. Again, you're about 15 grams or so, 14 grams of yeast or so. And then to the flour, I'm going to add the sugar, salt, and we're going to wait about, I would say maybe 10 minutes or so, let that bloom up, and we're going to add that all together, mix that dough together, and then we're going to add the butter to it. We're going to use our stand mixer here, so it might be a little bit easier for us. You can use your hands if you want, but if you have a stand mixer, definitely the way to go. Alright, now that our dough is done and is pretty silky smooth, we're gonna roll that out into roughly a 12 by 12 square, and we're gonna refrigerate it for about an hour or so. So while we're refrigerating that, we took our butter out here. We're gonna let it sit for about 5 minutes or so. We're going to put it between two pieces of parchment, and we're going to make about a 6 by 6 square of butter, maybe a little bit wider, maybe about 8 by 8 or so. Alright, so now, after all of that rolling and squaring off of everything, you got your butter square here. I'd say it's about ½ centimeter wide or so, but we're going to throw this in the fridge, have that chill with the dough, and then we're going to break both of them out in about an hour or so. That rhymed, I didn't mean to. Morning guys, day 2. So I just took both of these out of the refrigerator. I'm going to unwrap them both. Good sort of a tip, if you unwrap the butter now before it starts to get flexible, it's a lot easier than when it starts to get flexible. Now it's basically free floating. It's not going to attach too much to this paper, and I can just kind of flip it onto my dough when I'm ready. I'd say after you roll your dough out to about ½ an inch, ¼ of an inch or so, you can put your butter in. So I have mine sitting on top of this just to kind of concave it to let me know if it needs to be in the refrigerator for a little bit longer. Thankfully it's been holding up okay. This is the French butter that I'm using here. I'm going to put this right in the middle and kind of cover it up like an envelope. And with the best of your ability, you're going to wrap everything together. Hopefully this works. If there's any additional flour, you can brush that off. I didn't use any more flour, so I'm pretty much okay. Hopefully, for the moment. Cross out any bubbles if there is any. I just had one. Beautiful. Nice seal. No butter is exposed. That's exactly what you want. Gently at first. So there's some bubbles in here. You don't want that to push around in the wrong spots. So gently, we're going to kind of close these seams with the rolling pin. Again, to the best of your ability. Ow. Pasta machine. Alright, so we're going to make our first fold now. And take one side, go about 3/4 of the way or so, then come in with the other side in the last quarter. And you're going to take this side again, fold it over one more time. So what we got, it's more or less like a log. So we were working on it this way. We're going to turn it this way, 90 degrees, and we're going to start to work on it lengthwise this way. And you kind of want to stamp it all together just to glue all the pieces together. Then you can begin rolling. And just about here, you're going to do your last fold, which is about, say, like a quarter fold, or a half fold, rather. Flatten this down. Those are all the turns you're going to make, by the way. It's basically it. So what you're going to do is kind of push this all together. You can use the rolling pin for this as well, but the butter is getting to the point where it's getting sort of extremely soft. So what I'm going to do is package this all up in some saran wrap, and then we're going to continue in about, well, at this point you can leave it in there for an hour. If you wanted to flatten it down in the meantime, you can, but I'm going to just leave it in there for an hour. Alright, it's been in the fridge for about an hour or so now. I'm going to roll it out to our croissant length. Forget to egg wash these right before I threw them in the oven, but I think they turned out pretty well. They're actually very, very light, which is a good sign. Fingers crossed we did it. I'm going to egg wash these one more time because I'm going to definitely do that with these. Forgot to with those. Throw those in the oven for 400 for 12 minutes at the top rack. Then we're going to drop it to the lower rack at 375 for 12 minutes. These might need a little bit longer, I'm not sure. all finished. So I pulled these out, let them cool, cut them in half, and the crumb is amazing. Everything about it is fantastic. I didn't think that the big ones were gonna make it, but they made it. They made it very, very well. I ended up eating all of the pre-batch that we did before these. I would think espresso would be a little bit more fitting, but a cup of coffee is not bad. But guys, they're beautiful, flaky, delicious, buttery, very, very buttery, very, very good. I recommend you guys make them. For real, they're like one of the most satisfying pastries to make. Spilling coffee all over myself. Alright guys, I'm going to finish this up here. Put these away. And I'll see you guys in the next video.